Every beautiful place hides a dark secret. Welcome to Dark Deeds. Have you ever wondered if a song could be the only thing keeping a monster away from your door? Imagine, for a moment, that your life didn't depend on how well you locked your windows, but on how loudly you could play a trumpet. It sounds like a dark fairy tale, something from a forgotten book of shadows. But in the spring of 1919, this was the terrifying reality for every soul in the city of New Orleans. This is the story of the Axeman, a ghost, a demon, or perhaps just a very human monster who held an entire American city hostage and forced them to dance for their very survival. But before we get to the night the music saved the city, we have to go back to where the blood first met the cobblestones. New Orleans in 1918 was a dreamscape of jazz, heavy humidity, and the scent of sweet magnolias. In our world, the city breathes with a life of its own. The city was a melting pot of cultures, but it was the Italian immigrant community that first felt the cold touch of the Axeman's blade. We start with the Maggios. Joseph and Catherine were simple people who ran a grocery store. In this lens, their shop is a cathedral of color. Red tomatoes, green herbs, and golden pasta. They lived for their family, unaware that a shadow was meticulously carving its way into their sanctuary through the back door. On the night of May 23rd, the Axeman didn't use a key or a crowbar. He used a chisel to silently remove a lower panel of the Maggio's back door. It was a signature that would become a trademark of terror. He crawled through the hole like a dark insect. Once inside, he didn't take their money. He didn't take their jewelry. He found Joseph's own axe in the backyard and used it to shatter the peace of the night forever. When the brothers of Joseph Maggio found the couple, the scene was so grisly, it defied the beauty of the morning sun. A bloody straight razor lay on the back porch, and the axe sat silently in the room. The police were baffled. They had no leads, no motives, and no suspects. They did what the police often did back then. They arrested the brothers, unable to conceive of a demon that could enter and exit a home without a trace. But the Axeman wasn't done. A month later, Louis Bezumer and Harriet Lowe were attacked in the same fashion. Again, the chiseled door. Again, the axe. The city began to realize this wasn't a random crime, it was a pattern. Panic began to bubble like a cauldron in the New Orleans heat. The Italian grocers, who were the heart of their neighborhoods, began to sleep with shotguns across their laps, watching the doors that they once left unlocked. As the summer of 1918 intensified, the tall man became a citywide obsession. Every creak of a floorboard, every scratching of a branch against a window, was met with a racing heart. Mrs. Schneider, a young pregnant woman, was the next to see the shadow. She woke to find a dark figure standing over her bed. She was hacked in the face, but miraculously survived. The sheer, expressive terror in her eyes, the way the moonlight reflects the monster in her room. Then came Joseph Romano. His nieces found him after hearing a scuffle, catching a glimpse of a dark figure fleeing through the back. The Axeman was becoming a folk hero of the worst kind of phantom that the police couldn't catch and the citizens couldn't kill. The city was transforming into a fortress. Iron bars were installed, dogs were bought, and a collective silence fell over the streets after dark. The vibrant life of the Jazz Age was being suffocated by the grip of a cold, iron hand. For a few months, the killings stopped. The city breathed a sigh of relief, thinking the demon had moved on to another town, or perhaps had met his own end. But the Axeman was merely waiting. He was watching the city, listening to the rhythms of New Orleans, preparing for his most theatrical act yet. This is where our story shifts from a simple series of murders into something truly legendary, the moment the Axeman decided to speak to his victims through the press. On March 13th, 1919, a letter arrived at the offices of the local newspapers. It didn't come with a return address, but it claimed to come from the hottest hell. The writing was elegant, swirling across the page with an arrogant grace. "Esteemed mortal," it began. "They have never caught me, and they never will. They have never seen me, for I am invisible, even as the ether that surrounds your earth." The letter claimed the Axeman was not a human, but a spiritual lover of music and darkness. he made a terrifying proclamation for the following Tuesday night. He promised to kill again at exactly 12:15 a.m. But he offered a deal to the people of New Orleans. He swore by all the devils in the nether regions that every person would be spared in whose house a jazz band was in full swing. If you didn't play music, you were essentially inviting the demon in for a visit. The reaction was instantaneous. This wasn't just a threat, it was a citywide challenge. Imagine the scramble in our New Orleans people rushing to music shops, dust flying as old phonographs were pulled from attics, and musicians being hired for exorbitant fees. No one wanted to be the house that remained silent. The fear of the axe was replaced by a desperate need for rhythm. The city's culture was suddenly its only defense, and the night of March 19th was destined to be the loudest in history. When Tuesday night arrived, New Orleans erupted into a symphony of brass and percussion. Professional bands played in the packed dance halls, while amateur musicians banged on pianos in their parlors. In the lens, we see the music as golden light, rising from every window and chimney, forming a protective canopy over the foggy streets. From the grandest mansions on St. Charles Avenue to the smallest shacks in the back swamp, the city was a wall of sound. Neighbors who had never spoken before huddled around phonographs, singing at the top of their lungs to keep the silence away. A local composer even rushed out a song called the Axeman's Jazz, which became the anthem of the night. As the clock ticked toward 12:15 a.m., the killing hour, the tension was thick enough to touch. Trumpets wailed louder, drums thundered with a frantic pace, and every citizen held their breath while they screamed the lyrics. They were literally playing for their lives. Did the Axeman show up? Some say they saw a shadow pause at a window, hear the music, and move on. Others say the demon was never there at all, satisfied simply by the city's tribute to his favorite art form. 12:15 came and went. The sun began to peek over the Mississippi, painting the sky in soft Ghibli pinks and golds. The music didn't stop until the light was full. When the city finally fell quiet, they realized the impossible: not a single person had been murdered that night. The jazz had won. The Axeman had kept his word. But the peace was short-lived. A few months later, the killings returned for one final act. Mike Pepitone was attacked in his bedroom, his wife witnessing a large, fleshy man fleeing the scene. And then, the Axeman vanished. No more letters, no more chiseled doors, no more blood. He disappeared into the humid Louisiana night forever, leaving behind a cold case that would remain unsolved for over a century. Text. Who was he? Was he Joseph Mumford, a man with a criminal past, who was later shot by Pepitone's widow in Los Angeles? Some believe so, but the evidence was thin. Others believe the Axeman was truly something other than Humana, dark spirit of the city, that was eventually quelled by the very music it claimed to love. The mystery remains a part of the city's soul, a story told in the smoky corners of the very jazz clubs that may have once saved its citizens. In the end, the Axeman of New Orleans left us with a haunting question. In a world of shadows and monsters, what is our greatest weapon? Is it a lock? Is it a gun? Or is it the beautiful, chaotic, and defiant noise of a city that refuses to be silent? Today, New Orleans is still the city of jazz. And every time a trumpet blares in the French Quarter, we remember the night the music kept the devil at bay. So, keep the music playing. You never know who or what might be listening. The archives may be closed, and the dust may have settled, but some truths remain restless. What do you think really happened in the shadows of Edmund Kemper? Was it a tragic accident or a cold, calculated deed? The comment section is yours. I'll be down there reading your theories. If you found this deep dive worth your time, consider subscribing. Every story we uncover helps bring a little more light to the forgotten corners of history. Until the next leaf turns, remember, the light doesn't always reveal the truth. Sometimes, it just creates longer shadows.
Sleep well.